close by you, whichever one you like, whatever one you like. Well, you make them both sound great, so it's up to you. Whatever's more convenient. Jai Tulsi Maharani ki jai. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Jashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Jashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Jashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Jashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Jashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prevradika Charjashto Taras Shishimad Pai Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prevradika Charjashto Taras Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Kuldi Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prems Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gogopi Nasham Kund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki. Sri Vrindavan Tham Ki. Sri Mayapur Navadip Tham Ki. Sri Jagadat Puri Ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki. Samabeta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Bring the Jamuna back to Vrindavan right now. Ki. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Go Premanande Haribo. Can you bring a pad for this madanga? I just want it right here. There's one right in the corner. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye. We're continuing our reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. And it is canto number 4, chapter number 25. And the text is number 14. So this is an allegory, and it is a presentation by Narada Muni to King Prachindabarishat, who was in need of direction because he had taken to a materialistic way of life and thought that everything was perfectly okay with that. And when he met Narada Muni, who was very compassionate and who could understand that the way of life that Prachindabarishat had adopted was detrimental to his interests, out of mercy, Narada Muni began to instruct him in such a way that he would understand. It's one thing to tell the truth, and it's another thing to have somebody understand the truth. And there's a big difference between the two. And therefore we find this indirect method of preaching by Narada Muni, that he's presenting in such a way that Prachindabarishat can understand that the perils of his way of life, and also give him Atma Tattva Gyan, knowledge that he's not the body, he's actually spirit soul. Misidentification with the body is a problem it's the cause of all misery. And because I've misidentified myself as a material body, and I identify myself with the material world, and I develop designations that I am American, I'm an Indian, I'm a Russian, I am a man, I'm a woman, I'm a cat or a dog. These kinds of designations are temporary and actually unreal, because I have nothing to do with the body. I am a spiritual soul who's part and parcel of Krishna, but circumstantially I'm passing through various bodies and identify with them, and all the things that I see, that I consider mine, I become attached to. And that becomes a problem. So spiritual knowledge is to understand the difference between the body and the owner of the body, or the body and the soul who resides in the body, and then to also know the super soul, who is the source of all knowledge and who is directing the soul within the body and fulfilling all his desires. If one knows these things properly, then one's correctly directed in life. Otherwise, there are implications which become very troublesome to the soul. And the devotees who are free from the bodily conception of life and who understand that real value in life comes from directing one's love and attention towards Krishna, they help others to understand these things. Prahlad Maharaj says in his prayers that if you decorate your face, then when you look in the mirror, you'll also see that the reflection is decorated as well. By that he means that when we glorify Krishna, then we ourselves become glorified. When we serve Krishna, then we become nourished. And when we try to independently enjoy and be controllers, then we set out on our own, and in that independence we must undergo many tribulations and afflictions because of the material energy. So, to make the clear case of the difference between the body and the owner of the body, Narada Muni has set up this allegory, and he's calling the body a city of 9 gates. And he's giving an elaborate description of what all the aspects of that city look like and how they compare to the physical material body. So this is text number 14. He says, Prakaryo bhavana tala parikar akshatoranahi swarna ropya yasai shringai sankulam sarvato grihai. That city was surrounded by walls and parks, and within it were towers, canals, windows, and outlets. The houses there were decorated with domes made of gold, silver, and iron. Purport: the body is protected by walls of skin. The hairs on the body are compared to parks, and the highest parts of the body, like the nose and head, are compared to towers. The wrinkles and depressions on different parts of the body are compared to trenches or canals. The eyes are compared to windows, and the eyelids are compared to protective gates. The 3 types of metal, gold, silver, and iron, represent the 3 modes of material nature. Gold represents goodness, silver, passion, and iron, ignorance. The body is also sometimes considered to be a bag containing 3 elements, tridhatu, mucus, bile, and air, kapha, pitta, vayu. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke. According to the Bhagavatam 1084:13, one who considers this bag of mucus, bile, and air to be the self is to be considered no better than a cow or an ass. Text 15. Nila spati kavai durya muktamara katarunai klipta harmya stalam deeptam shriya bhogavatim eva. The floors of the houses in that city were made of sapphire, crystal, diamond, pearls, emeralds, and rubies. Because of the luster of the houses in the capital, the city was compared to the celestial town named Bhogavati. Purport. In the city of the body, the heart is considered to be the capital. Just as the capital of the state is especially gorgeously filled with various high buildings and lustrous palaces, the heart of the body is filled with various desires and plans for material enjoyment. Such plans are sometimes compared to valuable jewels such as sapphires, rubies, pearls, and emeralds. The heart becomes the center for all planning and material enjoyment. So, this comparison of the heart to the capital of the building, and plans and desires to be valuable jewels. The plans of the soul condition in the material world, he covets, the soul covets these plans, thinking that they will be the source of his happiness. Considers them to be very valuable. And for those who have clarity about the real value of life, those plans and desires can be identified as urges and insignificant desires for happiness in the material world. One who has cultivated a higher intelligence can then distinguish between the higher self and the lower self, and can discriminate between various kinds of plans and desires to see which ones are valuable and which ones are not valuable. If someone is not educated in gemology and receives a gift of jewels or goes out to buy jewels, then that person may be misled or cheated. So similarly, one who has not understood clearly the goal of life and simply entertains the desires within the heart, which have been accumulated because of association over many, many lifetimes, will also be cheated. They're not real jewels, and therefore we call them anartas, or false values. It's false wealth. It's not really valuable. It's counterfeit. So if there's counterfeit money, it means there must be real money somewhere else. Otherwise, there's no conception of counterfeit money. And so Krishna recommends in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that there's a way in which one can learn through hearing to designate and discriminate between useful desires and those which are detrimental. And there's a hierarchy. Indriyani prayanyahur indriyebhya param manaha manasastu parabudhir yobhudhe paratasusa. And this we should regularly observe as we move about in the world, that lowest of all are the sense objects, the inert matter of the material world. This is earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. And then there are the senses, which are a combination of these elements, but there's working senses and there are knowledge-gathering senses, which are part of the body, part of the apparatus of the body. And above the senses is the mind. And above the mind is the intelligence. And Krishna says in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that because of association with Rajagun in the material world, the senses, the mind, and even the intelligence become sitting places for this Rajagun, which becomes manifested as what we use the word in English, lust. Lust is Can somebody look it up? The strong driving force that Krishna calls the all-devouring, sinful enemy of the soul. It's eternal enemy. All-devouring, eternal enemy of the soul is this lust. And what it is it's actually a product of ignorance, because I don't know, I'm not recognizing this hierarchy of senses, and I don't see that I'm actually non-material. Because of this, I interact with sense objects, thinking that it's in my best interest. So that lust can, just like an enemy that is fighting with an opposing force, take over different parts of the battlefield and then the city. That lust can infiltrate the senses, the mind, and then take over the intelligence. And that's very dangerous, because the intelligence is right next to the soul. And when one begins to use one's intelligence for lusty purposes, then what you get, of course, there are people who are lazy and foolish, and then there are people who are foolish and active, and that's more dangerous. If someone's foolish, better that they're lazy and they don't do anything. But if somebody is foolish and they become very active, and we see this in Vrindavan a lot amongst the monkey population. They don't have anything really to contribute so much normally, but they're very active, and they go about in their destructive ways. They break things purposely whenever they can. And those whose intelligence becomes captured by this lust because of bad association, they can use the intelligence in a very powerful way, but for wrong things. We say sukriti and duskriti. So sukriti is good, but duskriti means you're very expert, but for bad things. Sometimes people go to prison and they learn all kinds of new tricks. And they get out and they say, now I can really rob some houses, because now I really know how to do it. This is duskriti. And Prabhupada points out that, yes, there are great advances in science and so forth, but he often points out that science has perfected abortion and also nuclear weaponry. And he said, people are already dying. You simply accelerated the process. You've used your intelligence in a very powerful way for the Manhattan Project to develop the first atom bomb. Some very smart people got together for many years. They spent billions of dollars, which used to be a lot of money back then. And they developed a weapon that could kill tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people all at once. So Prabhupada points out, so you've used your intelligence for something to accelerate death. Thank you very much. Death is already going on. You've accelerated. Can you come up with something that will eradicate death? But the animals have certain propensities: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and they're really good at it. If you just look around nature and observe how birds have elaborate plans for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. I mean, they're not that elaborate. They're birds, but, I mean, they do have plans. And they do mate. I watch in my backyard all the time. One bird, then here comes the other one. They're spending time together. And they have a plan to build a little house. And it's not beyond them to build a house. Did you know the Golden Gate Bridge was an innovation? And that the people who designed that bridge looked to nature to develop some of their engineering skills, and specifically they looked at spider webs. Because spiders, despite the fact of not having gone to Caltech or MIT or UCSD or any of the big engineering schools, are expert at building webs, suspending them in precarious places between all kinds of crevasses and branches, and it's a miracle, actually, how they weave it all together. Ahara nidra bhayamaitanam cha. But there are 4 activities, and that's eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, that they're particularly interested with. And these are activities of the senses. So this is, if a human being acquires a kind of an intelligence which is affected by this lust. Did you look it up? Who's got it? Go right ahead. Let's hear what lust actually is. Because we want to identify the enemy, don't we? Yeah. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that this lust is actually the eternal, all-devouring enemy of the soul. So we might as well know as much about him as possible. So, and Prabhupada used to call him Mr. Lust. When he'd write to people, sometimes devotees would say, you know, I'm having this difficulty, that difficulty. Prabhupada would say, oh yes, Mr. Lust, again attacking. So what does the dictionary say about him?
Lust is intense or unrestrained sexual craving.
Intense or unrestrained sexual craving.
Second meaning, an overwhelming desire or craving, a lust for power.
Overwhelming or?
Desire or craving.
Overwhelming desire or craving.
And obsession. It is
an obsession.
Intense or obsessive desire, especially sexual desire.
Okay. And that's pursuant with what is mentioned in the Shastra, because the ultimate pleasure, and that's brought out in here, material pleasure relates to sex. Rishabhadev, in his teachings to his 100 sons, told them, Pumsastriya maitu nibhavametam tayo mito hridaya grantamahu atogriya kshetra sutaptavitar janasya moho yamahamameti. That the main attractive force in the material world is the male and female. And when commenting on that verse, Prabhupada says that male and female are attracted in every species. And even if the male or female are not beautiful, there's a way in which the male or the female become attracted to one another. It's a powerful force. It becomes overwhelming. And yes, please look at page 222 in your shloka books. Thank you, Srivas Prabhu. I'll say, please repeat. Pumsastriya maituni bhavametam tayor mito hridaya grantamahu atogriya kshetra sutapta vittar janasya moho yamahambameti. Translation: the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception which ties together the hearts of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusion and thinks in terms of I and mine. And therefore, Krishna recommends that we conquer over the lower self by the higher self. Evam buddhi param buddhva. So he says you should use your intelligence to conquer the lower self. Evam buddhi param buddhva samstabhyatmanam jahi shatram mahabaho kama rupa darashadam. You can defeat these overwhelming cravings because they occur in the lower senses. They occur in the lower regions of the hierarchy. And if we purify our intelligence through Atma Tattva Gyan, and we can make this discrimination, then we can avoid the temptations of the lower self. and conquer over by the higher self. But then, of course, we also have to have engagement. And whatever is in our heart eventually comes out. So the heart is the capital of the city. And the heart must be purified. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Cheto Dharpana Marjanam. There has to be a cleansing of the heart. And he compared it to a mirror. And when the surface of the mirror becomes dusty or dirty, then we can't see ourself, we can't see our real self-interest. And therefore we act in ways adverse to our benefit. But he recommended this process of the chanting of the holy names and the performance of Sankirtan, because he said it cleanses the mirror of the heart. Cheto Dharpana Marjanam. The heart becomes cleansed. And then I can actually see my real self-interest. So this is real practical spiritual life and can be experienced by one who has taken to the process of bhakti yoga and continually hearing and chanting. These two processes, hearing spiritual sound vibration and repeating it to others, helps to purify the heart so that one can make proper discrimination. And when the heart is properly aligned, then it takes us in the direction that we're supposed to go. Otherwise, there are desires that can surface at any time and take us off course in a retrograde way. And therefore, it's necessary to completely clean the heart. And while we're in the process, to be vigilant that we don't become lazy in the process, because then we can be diverted into the sense gratification and that becomes counterproductive. Questions so far? Yes, Swati.
Prabhuji, these the plans which we make and the desires, is it something the mind does, or is it like soul is desiring?
Well, the mind is actually just a screen. So, impetus for desire and such comes from the soul. It's not that the mind has its own desires, but it simply reflects what's there. But if our mind and intelligence are impure, then we get a distorted idea of what to do and what not to do. And we make, if we misunderstand what our real interest is, we'll make plans for something that's not beneficial. So as we become purified, we purify our aim in life also. The plans become different. Krishna gives instructions in the Bhagavad Gita, and faith means to develop the consideration that Krishna knows better than me about what's good for me. When I act independently, I think that I know better, and therefore I make all kinds of plans. And I try to avoid what it says in the scripture, because I think that I'll be happy by sense gratification or making some arrangement in this material world to be happy. But who knows better, me or Krishna? So if I accept that Krishna knows better, then and I take his instructions, then I'll start to change my plans as well. And when my plans are lined up with Krishna's plans, then I'm in a good situation. So it's not a secret. Krishna talks about his plans and what we should do, and the Shastra talks about it also. And it's a relief, actually, to have a good guide, because the mind needs a good master. And if the intelligence becomes impure, it becomes a bad master. So we must take help from Shastra, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. and clarify the consciousness, the intelligence also, and then make our plans based on the guidance of Shastra, Guru Sadhuna Shastra. Shraddha Devi.
So Maharaj, is desire also a thought? Like mind produces thought, and the soul also
Is a desire a thought?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's described by Krishna, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parta manogatan. He says in the second chapter of the Gita, the mind goes. Manogatan means the mind goes, and then it manufactures all kinds of plans and desires.
So Prabhuji, I was just trying to understand, in light of Swati Mataji's question, that who actually is producing the thoughts? Is it the soul or is it the mind? Because in Bhagavad Gita it also says the mind is your best enemy. Mind is your enemy and also your best friend. So how does that happen? Like, if you can elaborate a little bit more on desires coming from the soul and how mind and intelligence work together.
Well, the mind. Think of the mind in terms of software. And if you have a software malfunction, which happens to me every day, then you may get contrary information, and you're the one interpreting it and reading it, but it might take you in a wrong direction. So the mind is there as an instrument, and it has to be clarified. The chaita, or the consciousness, has to be purified. So the soul is desiring, but it's getting misinformation because it's covered. The soul is tiny and therefore can become covered by ignorance. Mist and clouds, these are compared to desires for material enjoyment and kinds of weakness of heart that we develop. And as we fix that software, we get clarified information, and we purify the mind and heart. Then evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata bhagavat tattva vijnana mukta sangasya jayate. There's a way in which we see who we actually are. We can see clearly because the mirror becomes clear, or the software is fixed, so we can see properly. You had a question, and then we'll go over to... Oh, an announcement. Somebody's parked in the wrong place.
Yeah. Red color Prius, which is parked beside the temple, they need to remove.
Red Eclipse next to the temple?
Yeah.
What's wrong with it being parked next to the temple?
He wants to park the big one just backside the...
Wally, can you go talk to him about that? That's our parking space. We need a few parking spaces around here. It's the Sunday program. He's a trained negotiator. So the soul, it has impetus, and that's where it comes from. Otherwise, as soon as the soul leaves the desire, the mind, the senses, they become inert. They're simply instruments. So in the subtle mind, the intelligence and such, actually the soul has, naturally, in our spiritual body, we have mind and intelligence also, but we assume a false mind and intelligence that covers over the real mind and intelligence when we're in the material world. And those are like coverings. And they pervert our understanding of the world. So when it becomes clarified, Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam, we become clear on who is the Supreme. Actually, it's kind of a simple designation. When I'm in ignorance, I think that I'm the controller and that the plans I'm making are very good. And I'm misidentifying myself with the body. But when I become clarified, then I see that actually there's a higher controller. There's a supreme controller, and I'm not him. Yes.
Prabhuji, you mentioned that if your plan should be aligned with Krishna's plans, right?
Yes.
And So in that context, suppose, first of all, like, what is Krishna's plan? If I presume, is that to like bring you close to himself, right?
Krishna's plan for us?
Yeah, is to bring us close.
Krishna's plan for us is, he says very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja hang tang sarva papebhyo mokshayishami masucha. It's a one thing. He says, just surrender to me. Don't worry about anything else. You just do this. So our one duty is to surrender to Krishna. And if we make that plan, how to surrender to Krishna, then we'll be properly directed. There are a lot of things happening in this material world that you have to plan around. During the 1970s, there was some threat of nuclear war. Russians and Americans were always saber-rattling, and there was some concern about maybe... Actually, when I grew up, we used to have these drills in my school when I was in second, third grade. It was called duck and cover. So duck and cover meant that when the nuclear flash comes, you have to make sure you cover your eyes because it'll blind you. And then you have to get under your desk because then, you'll be protected from the fallout. That was a big joke. We always lived in fear of these kinds of things. So, where was I going with that, Srivas? Yeah, I forgot why I brought in the duck and cover thing. I went back to my Burton school where I used to go to school. There was a Cold War between America and... Yeah, that's taking me all the way back. Yeah, so there's all these plans everyone has how to protect themselves in the material world. That there's going to be a nuclear war, so duck and cover. Now I know where I was going. Now, on a morning walk during the 1970s, some of the devotees were asking Prabhupada about what we should do in the case of a nuclear war, an all-out nuclear war. And, should we plan to move to a farm? Should we plan to do this or that? And Prabhupada said, plan to chant Hare Krishna. I thought about that. He said, plan to chant Hare Krishna. I mean, actually, there's so many things that can happen in this world. You can get a little scratch from a thorn on a rose, and then your whole arm will become infected, and then you'll die in a few days. These things happen all the time. And so you should plan to chant Hare Krishna. So Krishna is advising us correctly. Just surrender unto me. Don't worry about anything else. I'll protect you from all kinds of sinful reaction. And he says in the Bhagavad Gita, Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mami vaishyasyitvaivam manam parayana. Think of me, become my devotee, worship me, bow down to me. And this way you'll come to me without a doubt. Now, if you just take those four things and you work on those, plan to think of Krishna, that'll take up your whole day. Become his devotee and offer obeisances to him. And these four items are the most vital things. This is the plan, really. But I have so many other ideas about what I should do here. Let me start a shopping mall. What do you need a shopping mall for? I mean, even if you don't build it, somebody else will. You can just go there and get one item. You need some dental floss? Just get dental floss. You don't have to concern yourself with so many plans. Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja. If you just take that one thing, I'm going to surrender to Krishna, then you find out that everything good comes from that. Also, Krishna says, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paripasite tesham nityap yuktanam yogakshemam bahamyaham. That for someone who constantly thinks of me, I carry what that person lacks and I preserve what he has. And that's true. It's true. I don't have to fend for myself. Prabhupada used to point out about the animals. They have to fend for themselves, but they don't start shopping malls and such. Much is provided by nature. And similarly, Krishna, for human beings who concentrate their energy on thinking of him and spreading his mission, for those people, Krishna takes special care. He gives special consideration. What more do you need than that? But I have my own idea. I want to do something else. But then you do it at your own risk. And then you also have to take the reaction, and you're left as an independent agent in the material world. And that's never a good thing. You should have a backer. And there's no better backer than Krishna. Everyone's reading all kinds of philosophers and studying all kinds of books. Why? In order to get a better advantage in the material world. But the best advantage you can get is right from Krishna. He spoke with his lotus mouth, the Bhagavad Gita. So if you just make that your life and soul and say, whatever Krishna says in the Gita, I'll follow that. And if I need to clarify it, I'll ask one of Krishna's devotees, what does this mean? And so you align yourself through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And if you do that, then there's no difficulty. There's no problem for the devotee. Arjuna was in difficulty. He was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and he wasn't sure what to do. It's the perfect setting because it was a hopeless situation. Go kill your relatives. And then what do? Here's your duty. You're a Kshatriya. You have to fight. You have to defend. This is what you have to do. And now look who you get to fight. Krishna took him out in the middle and said, look who you're going to fight, Arjuna. Now what are you going to do? And Arjuna, for Krishna allowed him to be an illusion for a little while so he could instruct the rest of us. And when he instructed him, he said, do your duty based on what I tell you to do, and then everything will come out all right. So the mind, the intelligence, they need some higher authority. And in the beginning, when we develop faith, it's Shastramayi Shraddha. It means we start to develop faith in Shastra. This is the beginning of faith. Ado Shraddha Tata Sodo Sangata Bhajana Kriya means that in the very beginning there's faith, and it manifests as faith in Shastra. There's a way that, we start to look at Shastra and we think, oh yes, this authority can actually guide me. We may have to close the door because there's a convention going on outside. At least it's starting, I can tell. Bhumi was next, and then Ramananda Saka. You have a follow-up?
Part 2 of this question.
You have two-part question?
No, I had another question, but I did not get a chance to. Can I ask, or should I?
Let's spread it around. No? No, spread it around. Take it. Bhumi, go ahead. And then Ramananda Saka, we can come back to it.
I had heard that the express purpose of the mind was simply to accept and reject. Can you elaborate on that?
The express purpose of the mind is simply to accept or reject.
You've never heard that?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I have. I'm just trying to think how to elaborate on it.
Oh, okay.
Other than that, it's a simple instrument that accepts or rejects the intelligence. The mind is born out of the mode of goodness, Lord Kapila Dev says. When he's describing his Sankhya philosophy, he's telling where everything comes from. All the different parts of the body and the elements, they arise from a certain source. They come from Krishna, actually. This is described in the Purusha Sukta. And there's a chapter in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam called Purusha Sukta Confirmed. And there's a lot in the first sections of the Bhagavatam elaborating how everything comes from Krishna originally. And Kapila Dev, in explaining Sankhya philosophy, which is a way to divide all the elements into little categories, describes how the mind is born out of the mode of goodness, and the intelligence is in the mode of passion, because the intelligence is concerned about progress. Through the intelligence, I discern which thing is better than another, because I'm trying to improve myself. And as I said previously, when the intelligence is contaminated, then I try to improve myself materially. When it becomes clarified, I try to improve myself spiritually. Whereas the mind is more like a screen, like a movie screen, and it's simply there's more elaboration of this in the Yoga Sutra. Patanjali talks a lot about how the mind actually simply is a screen that on which is projected our desires and other kinds of thoughts and plans and ideas. And it's a more simple instrument, so there's accepting and rejecting. And then the intelligence will clarify and prioritize those kinds of things.
And then the mind, and its occupation is to accept and reject what the intelligence has just clarified and decide whether they're going to act on it.
Well, the
Or
intelligence
no.
is higher than the mind in the hierarchy. We can observe how the mind accepts and rejects because we're higher than the mind, and just notice that it does that. That's one thing. 1 minute you accept something that I love you, and the next minute I hate you. This happens all the time. You know, what looked like my greatest opportunity now becomes my worst nightmare, and the mind thinks this is a good deal and then thinks it's a bad deal. People get buyer's remorse all the time. They go buy something and they think, I really want this, I really want it, and they buy it and they're on their way home and say, why did I do that? And then the intelligence comes in and starts rationalizing everything and says, well, you know, you really needed it, and you know, you're going to look good in that, and all your friends are going to like you, probably get that promotion after a while. But the mind has a tendency to, you know, go back and forth and lament or hankering and lamenting.
So hankering and lamenting is a function of the mind?
There's not such exact clear distinction between all of them. They in other words, they all work synergistically. The mind, the intelligence, and so on, and the senses.
Okay, I heard this also. I've never read it in Shastra, but I heard one devotee was saying in class that there's an ascending process and a descending process, and when we're on a spiritual path, when we're on a material path, we take the ascending process. In other words, our senses hanker after something, and our mind accepts and rejects that on the basis of what the senses are demanding. And then the intelligence, you know, goes out and finds a way to accomplish this in that way. And then the soul's just sitting on the chariot, you know, on the right. But in the descending process, when you're in a spiritual consciousness, and we accept the authority of Guru, Shastra, it's a descending process because the knowledge is coming from Krishna through Guru and Shastra, and then our intelligence is hearing that and then dictating to the mind that this is the way to do it, or this is what we're going to do, and then the senses automatically are controlled through that descending process. Anyhow, I did hear that. It made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, there are two verses side by side in the Bhagavad Gita that describe the difference between the ascending and descending. One verse, Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate, where Krishna describes how automatically activities are going on by the control of the modes of material nature, and that I think I'm doing them. And this is called ahankar. It's a misidentification. And he says this is a very foolish consideration that I'm actually doing everything. And then Krishna says, Tat favittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayo guna guneshu vartanta iti matva nasajjate. That one who becomes tattvavit, who knows the truth, understands that there's a difference between me and the modes of material nature that are acting. He sees the difference between them. Tattvavittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayo guna guneshu vartanta iti madvanda sajjate. He's able to see the difference between those two. And he doesn't become implicated by the modes. And the spiritual process begins when one's spiritual intelligence awakens. Kama dinam katina katita palita durnideshas tesam jata mayina karuna natrapa no pashanti. So, utsrijaitamata yarupate samprata labda buddhis. The devotee says, labda buddhi, I've gained my intelligence. And that means spiritual intelligence. My intelligence has become clarified. And therefore now he says, I'm not listening, I'm not taking my directions from the senses anymore. Because he calls them durnideshas. Page number? 401. You want to see a beautiful verse? Look at 401. This is Kamadinam katina katita palita durnideshas tesham jata mayina karunana no pashanti utsrijaitanata yarupate samprata labda buddhis tamayata sharanam abhayam mam nyungshvat madasye. So the devotee is describing this awakening process, and he says that he questions, for how long and how many ways have I served the bad masters of my senses? They've always dictated to me. Durnideshas means bad masters, and that I've always obeyed them. They never gave me mercy, they never gave me time off, and I never considered. I just followed. I was simply caught up by them. But now he says everything's changed, because labda buddhi, I've gained my intelligence, and now deliberately I'm seeking service. I'm giving up the bad masters, and I'm going to serve Krishna. And I'm approaching him. Tama abhayam mam niyung shvat madasya. His lotus feet are fearless. There's no fear there in following his instruction. And so that indicates the switch that takes place. Prabhude jnana bhaktivyam atmayananda chinmayi udait unitama bhaktir bhagavat prema lakshana. There's an awakening. Brahma Samhita, the Lord explains to Brahma that the higher intelligence becomes stimulated and awakened. And then there's that switch that I'm taking my instruction from the higher realms. And that comes from Shastra. And it comes from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Then we become directed correctly. Yeah. Ramananda Saka Prabhu?
Excuse me. Regarding that, one of the verses you quoted today, which is Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paripasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam. The translation is, but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. This verse is specifically referring to those devotees. The word used here is ananyas chintayanto mam, means those, the one who is exclusively dedicated to worshipping Krishna with no other with no other deviation. So does it mean that this verse is applying only to Uttamadhikaris, because only Uttamadhikaris have this kind of devotion?
No, it can also refer to those who are following Uttamadhikaris, because if one is dedicated to following a pure devotee, then one is also considered to be in the same category, because a mango is a mango, whether it's a green mango or a ripe mango. And so if a neophyte decides to surrender his or her intelligence to the Shastra and to the spiritual master and so on, then there's a way in which that devotee is properly directed and is considered to be an unalloyed devotee, even though there's still may be a lot of work to do. And therefore, Krishna assures us throughout the Bhagavad Gita that those who take to the process, ye me matam idam nityam anutishchanti manava. He says, if you just take to this process that I'm telling you, and you apply yourself to it and you follow it, ye me matam idam nityam anutishchanti manava. He says, that assuredly you will attain success. And in the purport, Prabhupada says that one who has this kind of faith and takes to the process, even though he can't follow it, in the beginning, it's not, one may not be able to fully apply it, but he has that impetus to do it. Then he'll surely attain success. One who chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with faith, having gained faith from association with a pure devotee, that the holy name and Krishna are non-different. That person may still be in a lower stage of chanting, but Thakur Haridas says there are these various stages of chanting. There's offensive chanting, and then there's namabhas, which is the light of the holy name is coming, and there's a dim light coming from the holy name. And then there's the pure name, which is like the sun appearing. Mayavadis mostly are the ones who are the operatis. If one is affected by the Mayavad conception when chanting Hare Krishna, then it's offensive to the name, and one doesn't get any light at all. However, if one's innocent and says the holy name by accident or because of joking or out of derision, then there's great benefit. And then there's a higher level of and that's all called namabhas. And above that is a higher level called Shraddha Namabhas, which means that although one isn't perfect, one has firm faith in the holy name because he heard it from a pure devotee and from the Shastra. And therefore chants with this conviction that the holy name is non-different from Krishna. This is called Shraddha Namabhas. And Thakur Haridas says that person will, without question, will come to the highest stage, the perfection. And the desire for pure devotional service is synonymous with pure devotional service.
Yes, but the neophyte devotees, their devotion is not really exclusive in the sense that they have some other engagements also, which may not be.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of time and degree. So if somebody has some ulterior motive, but also that means they also have a pure motive. This is brought out in the Brahma Samhita. If you have mixed devotional service, what is it mixed with? What is the impurity mixed with if you have mixed devotional service? If you have something mixed and you say there's an impurity in it, what's the impurity mixed into? The pure thing, right? So it gives you the pure things there also. And if one has this desire for devotional service but still is afflicted by some material desires, then because one's approaching Krishna through the proper process, that will be clarified. And as far as Krishna carrying what you lack and preserve what you have, Krishna is carrying all those things that you need in order to make advancement in devotional service, to come to the perfect stage. You may not agree with what he gives you, because I may still be attached. I'm worshiping Krishna for some ulterior motive, so he may give me some kind of contrary, something contrary. I think, I didn't want that. But in the Bhagavatam, Krishna says, Satyam dishati artitam artito nirnam. He says that if someone's petitioning me over and over again, he's approached me in devotional service, but he starts petitioning me over and over again for material things. He says, well, that person may be a fool, but I'm not a fool. I know what he really wants. And therefore, swayam vidate bhajatam anichatam. He says, I cover all those other desires and I forcibly give my own lotus feet to that person. I make him come to me. And we have many examples of that in the Shastra of how, devotees with some ulterior motive have approached Krishna but then become purified. And sometimes the devotees glorify the demons because they have such a fixity on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uddhava is even glorifying the demons, saying, well, they're more advanced than me because they really think of Krishna more intensely. And besides, they get to see him right before they die. He comes and chops them, out of this kind of bhav. They feel like that. Hare Krishna, welcome back. In the verse, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yoga. Let's just read it, 10:10. And keep in mind that Krishna wants to help us, but he gives us independence to choose which way we're going to go. This verse is on page number 459. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam inamam upayanti te. Translation: to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Purport. In this verse, the word buddhi yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord, instructing Arjuna, said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of buddhi yoga. Now, buddhi yoga is explained. Buddhi yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Buddhi yoga means intelligence, and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called buddhi yoga. In other words, buddhi yoga is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this, therefore the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed and the ultimate goal is reached. When a person knows the goal of life but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in Jnana Yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in Bhakti Yoga or devotion or Buddhi Yoga, which is the complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness with love and devotion, render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of Krishna consciousness, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain him. And of course, to the degree that the one has this communion with Krishna, it depends on, as Srivas Pandit Prabhu was saying earlier in his class, Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. But we see in the case of Narada Muni, when he was just a young boy and had received the seed of devotional service because of associating with the Bhaktivedantas who came to his house and were hearing and chanting, and he listened and served them and took the remnants of their food. That's a prescription for getting on the devotional path. Then his mother died and he was left alone even as a child. He had the strength to actually go off on his own and wander the countryside and not fear anything. And then he sat down in a forest and meditated, and Krishna appeared to him. And he experienced the highest ecstasy, and then Krishna disappeared. And then Narada, was in complete anxiety and tried mechanically to get back that vision of Krishna. And then Krishna spoke to him in an unembodied voice and said that until you're perfect, you can't see me. So now you have to endeavor in your practice of devotional service. But Krishna is never lazy. Gajendra says in his prayers that you're never inattentive to my advancement in devotional service. He's always looking to help us move forward. But as we develop this faith, Shraddha. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahi Surida Nishchoy Krishne Bhakti Koila Sarva Karma Krita Hoy, which means that this is my main goal in life, my main activity. It's no longer mixed. It's just surrender to Krishna. If I do that, then everything is taken care of. This is surrender. And the more I develop that mentality and the more I enact it, then Krishna reciprocates and gives himself more and more. Yogakshemam maham yaham. He personally cares what we lack and preserves what we have. But my point is this, that even early in the process, as was expressed by Prabhupada in this purport 10.10 of the Bhagavad Gita, Tesham Satati Yuktanam, that even those who are beginners on the path, who have a sincere desire to approach Krishna, and even if they can't take advantage of the whole situation, Krishna is still there carrying what they lack and preserving what they have. He helps to guide them forward in devotional service in a very profound way. Otherwise, what are we all doing here? You know, yesterday when I was at that festival, Diwali festival we went to, I was on the street and I was stopping various people to show them the Bhagavad Gita and such, and I met a couple, and and they said, "Oh, is this ISKCON?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Oh, yeah, we were in San Diego, and Bhadra Narayan Prabhu had written a letter to somebody up here at ISV telling him that we'd be moving up here to Mountain View." And then I remembered Bhadra Narayan Prabhu wrote me a letter a few weeks ago about a couple moving from San Diego, and I said, "Oh, yeah, that was me." And we both stood there sort of, surprised that that had happened. And it reminded me, when that happened, it was such a interesting encounter of how one's life goes when there's an inkling, there's a little desire for devotional service. Sri Vaspana Prabhu.
I just wanted to remark that it's just definitely no coincidence that you and they were there at the same time and you met at a certain place.
Yeah, Krishna's making these arrangements. Yes, Rasiko.
Is it also Krishna's arrangement when your bad intelligence and your opportunity for sense enjoyment also coincide?
Is it Krishna's arrangement?
Yeah, sometimes you don't know, is this Krishna's arrangement or is this just Maya's bringing together a trick?
Well, that you have to constantly test. That's why, spiritual life requires some endeavor. You really do have to be sincere and follow the path, because there are ways in which we come to crossroads very regularly. We have to make decisions. I mean, that's why we require guidance. And I see it for those who are very interested in advancing in spiritual life. They really have to be on life support, to develop this. And it means there has to be support from all sides. And the whole culture is that one takes support from a whole family of devotees. There are different kinds of guides. There the Vartmana Pradashaka Guru, there's the Shiksha Gurus, there's the Diksha Guru. All of them have specific functions to, encourage us and guide us along our path, to make all kinds of decisions in life, and to tie us to the reality of Krishna consciousness and such. Somebody who's a Diksha Guru gives you the mantras, and you make a vow that I surrender to these mantras, and I'm taking them, as a gift being passed down to me through the Sampradaya. And then the Shiksha Gurus are all, giving instruction how the mantras work and who you are and why you should keep chanting them and such. And there's a watering, there's a planting, and there's a watering. I mean, which is more important, planting the seed or watering the seed? Yeah, they're equally as important. You can't have one without the other. And there's a synergy among all the different agents of Krishna. This is all coming from his internal potency to direct us, to take us back home, back to Godhead. So we do have to constantly clarify what is bad intelligence and what is good intelligence. And sometimes, we may have a plan or an idea for something in devotional service, and we're not sure, is this a good idea or not? Someone might say that I want to, make a certain change in my life. And so they'll be rightly served if they go to their guides and they say, is this the right thing? And then, they consult Shastra, Guru Sadhu, Shastra, and then make their move. And this requires sincerity at every step, because you have to make sure that you're not acting independently, that you're following Krishna's direction. But if you're sincere, you're not going to get bad intelligence from Krishna. But if you insist upon it, Krishna will give you, ways in which that you can he'll give you intelligence to justify why you should have sense gratification. It's sarvasya chaham radisani vishto mattak smitir jnana apohanam cha, forgetfulness. Prabhupada says the atheists write all these books and come up with all these ideas about how there's no God. Brilliant ideas. Where do they come from? God. Where'd you come up with that one? From God? That there is no God. So we have to sincerely endeavor for this, back to the capital of the heart. We have to make sure that the capital stays legitimate. In other words, there's no graft going on in the heart. And sometimes capitals become overrun, the political system and the city becomes overrun by bad politics and all kinds of cheating and things like that. These are like, these bad plans for material enjoyment and the cheating heart. And Krishna is the greatest cheater of all cheaters. And if you want to try to cheat him, he gives you ways, he gives you intelligence. But if you just have one drop of sincerity to actually come forward in devotional service and you pray to Krishna, then he immediately acts to give you that kind of intelligence. And there's a relationship also, because it's not that just we develop faith in Krishna, he also has to develop faith in us. What have we done to instill faith in him? Last question? Yes.
I think in answer to the first question, I believe, you quoted two slokas, and one of them, two words that come to my mind is, one is worship, another is surrender. These are very good points, but sometimes I feel I understand the words, but yet I don't understand these words. In the sense, I offer flowers. I'm a great bhakta. I certify myself. I'm a bhakta. But is that worship? That's one question.
Can I answer the first one first before you go into the second one?
Okay.
It's just when we offer flowers to Krishna, since you gave that example, anyway, we offer everything to Krishna, ultimately. This is the greatest experience for the devotee. Manasa Deho Geho Yo Kichu More, Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays that let me offer everything. My family, my body, my wife, my soul, I give everything to you. And we may have that idea to offer everything to Krishna, and then as we continue on a day-to-day basis, because of the pullings of the mind and the senses, we may be taken off course. Or even including within the process of worshiping Krishna, we may develop some kind of ulterior motive as we're worshiping Krishna. Or we may just ritualize it and forget why we're doing it. And just it may become an automatic thing. Or we may get some honor for worshiping Krishna. People see, oh, he's offering flower, he must be a great devotee. And then we start thinking, well, I'll go get more flowers, because the more flowers I offer, the more people honor me. And there are many kinds of pitfalls, the ways that we can, come off the course of devotional service and perform it for some ulterior motive and not simply offer. Krishna says, offer me a flower out of love. And so therefore, there's an ongoing process of devotional service beginning with this Vidhi Bhakti, which means we align ourselves with the spiritual master and we follow the rules and regulations according to his or her direction, and we don't deviate from that because we will want to deviate in the beginning. When we take up the process, there is a way that the mind and senses will then say, oh, that was pretty good then, but now I got to do something else. There are kinds of contaminations that say, I need to do something else to improve my devotional service. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur lists many kinds of anartas that can enter into the heart that take us away from that pure offering to Krishna. And therefore, in the beginning, in the Vidhi Bhakti process, we must stay fixed on the process and at the same time hear constantly about devotional service. And then there's a gradual purification of our intention. And then it turns into a kind of spontaneous offering to Krishna. In the beginning, it may be more mechanical. I may have a sentiment in the beginning, I want to worship Krishna, and I begin the process, and then I realize that I have a lot more ulterior motives than I thought. But as one continues the process and the contaminations are removed, there's an awakening of actual spontaneous love for Krishna, where there's a real feeling that I want to offer this to Krishna. And one begins to innovate ways that he or she can make the service better, rather than just simply offering it in a mechanical way. And then from that stage, there are higher stages in which one comes to remember Krishna constantly and so forth, and develop more intense love for him. So it's a gradual process. That's not to say that someone at any stage can't offer a flower or fruit to Krishna out of a love and devotion, but in the process, the long process of devotional service, because of my association with material desires one after another, one lifetime after another, there's also a long process of purification and clarification of the heart that takes place throughout one's life. And your second question?
Surrender. Sharana, that sloka you mentioned, Sarvadharman Parityajya, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, Sharanam. That, what is Sharana? Again, like worship. I say, okay, I change my clothes. I wear beads. Is that Sharana? How do I know? How do I protect myself from cheating myself, thinking that I surrender?
Well, a couple things. One is that one of the first acts of surrender is to put oneself under proper guidance, so that we can take guidance to see when we're on the path and when we're not, so that someone can point out that you're surrendering or you're not surrendering. I mean, until you actually put yourself under somebody's care, under somebody's shelter, a representative of Krishna, then how do you know? And also, Shastra describes how surrender is a process. 6 stages of surrender, beginning with accepting things favorable and rejecting things which are unfavorable. And then there are 4 other stages of surrender which are described, but it is a process. And it's, as Keshava Bharti Maharaj pointed out in one of the Vyas Pujas that he offerings he made to Prabhupada, which I sent out to the General Assembly of Devotees, if you look at the life of Srila Prabhupada, he surrendered in various ways throughout the different stages of his life. He pointed out how his father was a pure devotee, and early on, for instance, when he was getting married, there were choices. Like there were a couple of choices of who he could marry, and his Prabhupada's father said, you should marry this one. And she wasn't physically the best qualified or anything like that, but his father said, no, you take my advice, you do this. And he did it. So he pointed out that at that particular phase in his life, this was a kind of surrender to authority, and that at other stages of his life, for instance, when he was performing business and he had a family to maintain and so on, he performed the kind of surrender that was prescribed by his spiritual master. And he would write to him and check in to say, am I doing the right thing? I'm living outside the institution, others are living within. And his spiritual master clarified and said, you should for now do this. And when the time is right, you can do more. And then Keshav Bharati Maharaj was saying, when he pointed out various phases of surrender throughout his lifetime in different circumstances, he cautioned us not to try to imitate Prabhupada in the last stage of his life, when he was a world acharya and a paramahamsa traveling all over the world and teaching Krishna consciousness and not sleeping and so on, practically sleeping a couple hours a day. If I compare myself when I'm in an earlier stage of my life to Prabhupada in his Paramahamsa stage, and may say, oh, that's unattainable, I can't surrender. But you have to surrender according to the position you're in now. And there's always an opportunity to surrender in the position you're in now. That's the prerogative of the living being eternally, that you have that opportunity. Otherwise, there's no need for any Shastra. Shastra wouldn't be so voluminous unless you had that ability to actually follow it. If you couldn't follow Shastra, if you couldn't really surrender, even if you were in the deepest Maya, then Shastra wouldn't be there, speaking to us. So do what you can with what you have now, and then you'll advance in Krishna consciousness. Surrender according to your position right now and according to the direction that you can take from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And you'll be properly situated. Accept which is favorable and reject when unfavorable. Yeah.
But I'm doing that already. So everybody accepts what's favorable to him, right?
Favorable to devotional service. Favorable to Krishna.
Devotional service.
Yeah, accept which is favorable for devotional service and reject which is unfavorable to devotional service, to advancement of devotional service. And if you do that, then you're going to have to make some hard choices. Your senses will say, you take this, and you'll say, that's not favorable to my devotional service, so I'll take that other thing. And when you do that, it's surrender. And you can do that, you'll do that at every stage of your life and in every day. There are choices you'll make every day. Should I turn this on, or should I chant my japa? Or, and then when you decide, should I offer this, or should I just eat it? And if you say, first I'm going to offer it, you go through a process of surrender that's more favorable, and then you'll experience for yourself. So we'll continue this reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam perpetually, because that's the prescription. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming on a Sunday night. And now we're going to have an artik ceremony, so we'll put away all the books as efficiently and respectfully as possible, because they're Shastra deities, and we'll put all the asanas away, and then we'll have a kirtan. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande Haribol. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Dishatarine. To the old Jayo. Keep a Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Aroti Kishova. Jannavi Tatavani Jagamanalobha. Takinithai chan Bamegadadhara. Nikateya Dveta Shrini Vasachatra Dhara. Posi Achen Gaurachan Ratna Singhasane. Aroti Korena Brahma Adideva Gane.
Nara Hari Adi Kori Chamara Dulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Goshadigaya Sanka Bhaje Kanta Bhaje Bhaje Karatala Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasada Bahu Koti Chandrajini Vadana Ujvara Gala deshe bana mala kore jala mala Kiba Shiva Sukhana Radha Preme Gada Gada Bhakati Vinoda Deke Gaurara Sampada Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aruti Keshoba Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aruti Keshoba Janavi Tatavane Jagamana Loba Gaurangera Roti Shobha Jagadana Manaloba Gaurangera Roti Shobha Jagajana Manaloba Jagajana Manaloba Jagajana Manaloba Shankha Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Shankha Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Take a turn, take a turn.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai 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 Govinda 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 Gopal 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 Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai Radha Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Thai Gaur Hari Bol Thai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Thai Gaur Hari Bol Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privraj Gacharya Stotaras the Shishimad Bhai Charanad Vinda Bhaktivedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privraj Gacharya Stotaras the Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Anatakulti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopina Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Tham Ki Shri Mayapur Navadip Tham Ki Shri Jagannath Puri Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Bring the Jamuna back to Vrindavan right now. Ki? All glorious to some of the devotees. All glorious to some of the devotees. All glorious to some of the devotees. Go Premanande. Namaste Narashinghaya Prahladadadayine Hiranyakashipur Vakshaha Shilatanka Nakalaye Ito Nishingha Parato Nishingho Yato Yato Yamitato Nishingha Bahir Nishingo Ridaye Nishingo Nishingamading Sharanam Prapadye Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jastejase Aviravir Bhava Vajranaka Vajradamshra Karmasayan Randaya Tamo Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Atmani Guishta Om Sham Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmir Yasya Chavakshasi Yasyaste Hridaye Sambhit Tam Nashinga Maham Bhaje Prahlada Hridayaladam Bhaktya Vidya Vidaranam Shararindur Chimbande Parindra Varanam Harim Shri Nashinga Jai Nashinga Jai Jai Nashinga Prahlada Desha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa Ugro Pyanugre Evayam Sabhaktanam Rikeshari Keshari Vasapotanam Anyesham Muga Vikramaha Tavakara Kamala Varena Kamadbhuta Shringam Dolita Hiranyakashi Putarubingam Keshavadrita Nadahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Shriman Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Lakshmi Nrsimhadev ki, Shri Radha Madan Mohan ji ki, Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribol. Looks like everybody is in an ecstatic mood today. I'd like to welcome all of you to the Sunday feast here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley, ISV. And nice to see such a large turnout here on this warm day in San Jose. So there are a few announcements as usual before we'll take prasadam. And the transcendental sound vibration, those of you who are here in this room and have attended, you can see that it continues in preaching, in kirtan, and in book distribution here at ISV. So we take this opportunity to thank His Grace, Vaisesika Prabhu, for bringing us today readings from the Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna Katha from the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. And also Rasika Ananda Prabhu for Rashika Nandan Prabhu. It's very easy now to confuse these names. Rashika Nandan Prabhu for this ecstatic kirtan today. It really made everyone dancing. They were reaching to the ceiling. Thank you very much. And we'll tell you a little bit about book distribution in a couple of minutes. But before that, newcomers, those who are here for the first time at ISV. Anyone here visiting ISV for the first time? Oh, second time. You're welcome. Here we have, for the first time. Second microphone is just over the table. Please pass that on. Please tell us about yourself and what brings you to our temple here today.
My name is Vijay Lakshmi. I just wanted to come to a temple, so I came with my son.
Oh, very nice. I hope you enjoyed our program here.
My name is Siddharth. I am her son.
Welcome.
And,
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. So there are some gifts for you there. Anyone else coming for the first time? At the back there? Second-time devotees, we welcome you too. So at ISV, among other announcements, I said something about book distribution, and it's worth a mention because the December marathon, as you know, our annual marathon, has started here at ISV. Started about a week ago, taking full force, and just to know that this year's or this marathon's goal is to distribute 16,108 Bhagavad Gitas. And so that's really picking up momentum. In fact, this weekend, as we understand, devotees went to a festival in Cupertino. This was the Diwali festival. A number of our senior devotees, Sankirtan devotees, is graced by Shishika Prabhu, and all of the Sankirtan leaders were there. And from one report, actually, we got this afternoon from one of the devotees who had attended, and he was diligent enough to add up all the scores and everything. We got a preliminary report, and now the numbers have, it seems, doubled. So is that Lakshmi's score? Okay, good, thank you. So from what these initial scores that we got, we understand that over 1,300 Bhagavad Gitas were circulated. So here are the numbers. Actually, about 632 got distributed and 731 got sponsored during this Diwali festival in Cupertino. And this yielded for ISV a Lakshmi count of over $2,500. So Bhagavad Gitas are here, and we are giving them away to devotees attending here. You can take them or sponsor them. They come in two different versions. Here is a soft Bhagavad Gita. This has all the Sanskrit shlokas and translations, everything in it. And these Bhagavad Gitas are also placed in motels, by the way. This is a program here at ISV that is very popular. And then we have the hardbound Bhagavad Gita, the classic Bhagavad Gita. There is also the book that is used in our Wednesday night Gita class, available also from ISV. They come in these cases of the hardbound that Balimadan Prabhu is holding, comes in a case of 16 books that Rasika Nandan is now holding. And that goes for $108. And the soft Bhagavad Gita case, which is 24 books per case, goes for $72. So you are welcome to participate in it. This is your chance to be counted. You can take cases with you for distribution to give to friends, family, or colleagues, or you can have them sponsored or sponsor them, so our devotees can distribute them, and also you can sponsor them for Motel Gita. These books are being actively placed. We have had a number of Motel Gita sponsorships. We invite some more from ISV here. And in that connection, we'd like to also announce that this week, His Grace Ramananda Sakar Prabhu contributed a donation of $5,000 towards Motel Gita. So the books are here and available from us, so please let us know any of your needs and be happy to fill them for you. So what do you have to say, Vrindavan?
Hare Krishna.
I would say.
Yes.
Just in Vrindavan last week, Brahmananda Prabhu, who is one of Prabhupada's first disciples, he joined Srila Prabhupada's mission in 1966. He was the first one to come up to Prabhupada and start dancing in the park when Prabhupada sat down in Thompson Square Park, and Brahmananda Prabhu came and danced, and then he came and he was instrumental in many, many ways in starting the movement, which started with just Prabhupada coming and then a couple of devotees. So he was telling how Prabhupada had sent him out around New York City to take orders from bookstores to place his books, because Prabhupada brought with him 200 volumes, 200 sets of 3-volume Srimad Bhagavatams that he had written in India. So he went to one store called Orientalia, which was specializing in all kinds of Eastern books, metaphysical books and such. So he was just going around looking for places where he could put the books. And so he went in the store and he showed the book, and the woman who ran the store said, "Oh yes, I know these books." And it turned out that Prabhupada had already been around. And she said, how is he and everything? Where is he? And Brahmananda told her, and she said, he used to bring me these pastries. It was samosa he was bringing. He said it was so tasty. He cooked it himself. And then and she said, I already bought the books. They're in the shop here. And so Prabhupada was going around with prasadam and books, shop to shop, all over New York City, and just finding places that would take his books. So then Brahmananda Prabhu was telling about how books ended up in many places all over the world. And he gave some details about how books showed up in very unusual places on the earth. And then he told a story about how just earlier this year in April, a captain of a boat who was fishing and pulled in a large catch of fish in his net, also pulled in a bottle. And the bottle was turned out to be 98 years old. It was sent from England about 98 years ago. It was floating on the ocean with a message inside. It's in the Guinness Book of Records now. That's the oldest note in a bottle that anyone's ever found. And so he was saying that these books, each one is like this note in the bottle, that people are in this ocean of material existence and don't think that the books are going in vain. They're going on in various places, and they may float for 100 years, but that message that's inside is so important, so powerful. It's Krishna himself speaking to Arjuna on battlefield Kurukshetra, and the same potency, the potency that it had then 5,000 years ago is exactly the same potency that it has now for anyone who hears it directly. And therefore Prabhupada emphasized, even over building temples, he emphasized the book distribution, that it must go on. The vibration must be spread all over the world because these instructions that are written down in the Vedas are necessary for human beings. And this is mentioned in the Sri Upanishad. There's no alternative for this way for human beings to take in spiritual knowledge, to become free from the ocean of birth and death. So it's no small thing, this campaign, to take out the Bhagavad Gitas and distribute them widely. And the more we do it, the more the movement increases. And the more we invest in it ourselves, the more we put our hard-earned money and energy and everything into taking Bhagavad Gitas, distributing Bhagavad Gitas, the more our own wealth and status in the spiritual world increases from this distribution. So I think the devotees have realized that here there's a kind of a spiritual intoxication that you can't stop doing it once you start. You can't, you can't turn back because to give means to grow. And everyone wants growth and everyone wants progress. And this is the best kind of growth and progress to connect to the order of the Supreme Personality of God, which is a manifestation of His internal energy. And it's by that particular energy that one comes to see the Lord face to face. So we've just begun this marathon with astounding success. And we have a point in time at the end of the year, and we also have a goal. And it's only to see what we can become ourselves from trying to reach the goal. Because until we actually challenge ourselves and look to see how we can expand, we don't know how well we can do. We don't know what's in us. We do know that we're backed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so He has to help us out. So we throw caution to the wind sometimes and we make these gigantic goals, but it's actually just to see how much we can grow. And I congratulate all the devotees this weekend. We had a very interesting day yesterday out there in the park. At one point, from our nice peaceful spot under the tree, we got moved along by a policeman who had come along and said we couldn't sit there and distribute Bhagavad Gita. So all the devotees stood up and distributed and had a bigger day than they probably would have had if he hadn't have come along. That was Lord Chaitanya's arrangement also. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Message in a bottle ki. Go Premanande Haribo.
Yes, Balimadan Prabhu. Just would like to.
Rakesh Obrai, I think those who know, he's also a diamond mine in Sankirtan back in Delhi. He and me joined in ISKCON from the same year. So I talked to him yesterday and he wants to thank and appreciate ISV's vision of smashing the goals and spreading the books everywhere, and he was very happy. As well as he always a fan of Vaisesika Prabhuji. He always in touch with Vaisesika Prabhuji. And one thing he said, that even devotees go in railway station in beggars whatever they collected also they give that money to people for giving the Bhagavad Gita. So they have developed intelligence, so we should always ask people to give the money. And one thing is that one word, Mahasucha, means do not fear. Just go and book this.
Mahasucha.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Any other announcements? Anything else would you like to? Yes. So on the books, is there anything more? Anything to, any updates? We covered the Diwali festival and the distribution. Yes, please pass that on.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Today we went out in Fremont area. Again, Rajesh Prabhu took us to some houses, very favorable houses. And we got an order for 100 Bhagavad Gitas. And we got another order for one case. And they want to come to temple and they want to see if they want to do 100 more or 500 more. So, but that is still in works. So they want to come and see and meet all the devotees first before they can donate. We had a very nice time, and as Prabhu was saying, Ma Suchaha, do not fear. We just went, and Rajesh Prabhu's friends were there, and it was really a nice experience, even though they didn't sponsor more cases, but they were very eager to hear what we were trying to say. So I'm sure there is some kind of change in their heart that will happen, but it was very nice experience. So Purushottam Prabhu, myself, Rajesh Prabhu, and then Sundar Prabhu also joined for some time. So it was very nice.
Thank you, Malini Mataji.
Prabhu, one more announcement.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So I was trying to contact some Ayurvedic doctors and Ayurvedic centers, and I contacted about 4 of them, and all 4 said they can take books to be distributed to their clients.
Very
There's
nice.
one lady who, she's an Indian, and she lives in Hayward, and she said that she has heard about Prabhupada and she has a lot of respect for him. So she said, I'll take 100 Bhagavad Gitas to distribute to our clients. And there was... And there is one more Ayurvedic practitioner. She's a doctor. And she said she'll take... she lives in Fremont. She has a